I got a question that I think is best answered by the parents in the room. After you had coitus to make that child running around your house right now, don't you think it would be a good idea to protect, nurture, care for, and love that child? Teach that child some life lessons so that they could grow up and be a well-respected adult in the world who's not wasting their time making TikToks in public because they think they're trendy, when in reality, they're just weirdos trying to get some attention because their parents didn't give them any? I would hope your answer to that question is a resounding yes. And if it was, close your eyes because I want to paint a scenario for you. Imagine you and multiple other children you had, because yes, you have coitus like that. Remember, children, safe sex is the best sex. You're all living in an apartment complex, and your apartment and apartment complex has been constantly robbed. There have been constant break-ins, and you're sick of it. And you report it to the property manager, and they do absolutely nothing because they're property managers and their sole goal is to collect rent from you. So you decide that in your best mindset and best interest of you and the safety of your children, you buy a gun so that the next time somebody comes in trying to steal some shit, they know it's game time. And the next time someone does break in, they break in through the window of one of your children's rooms, so you say it's game on. And you successfully defend your child from any harm that potentially could have fallen upon them. And in response, you are facing eviction because the property manager said you can never have a gun.
A Fort Worth woman who shot and killed a teenager who she says was breaking into her home may now face eviction. Aaliyah Wallace sat down with Fox 4's Sean Rabb yesterday to share her side of the story. A grand jury will determine whether she faces any charges, but she also says the federally subsidized property where she lives has told her she has to go. Sean's in now with the very latest. Sean?
What took place December 14th set in motion what is taking place now. The management of her property has told her she violated rules by having a gun and will face eviction. Attorney Mark Melton opened the Dallas Eviction Advocacy Center during the pandemic, handling roughly 15,000 cases. Never one like this.
The apartment called and told me that I was not supposed to have a gun at all, even though I kept calling them and telling them somebody was breaking in. They told me I could not have a gun and that I have 30 days to vacate.
And how does that make you feel?
Feel like I'm back at square one. I've been there for 6 years, so now I don't know what to do.
Historically, there is no federal law regarding whether public housing facilities can permit or ban guns by the residents. It's always been somewhat optional and based on state law.
Dallas attorney Mark Melton is the founder of the Dallas Eviction Advocacy Center. Texas legislators, he says, passed a law in 2019 that forbids landlords from prohibiting a resident in a leased unit from possessing a gun, specifically in their apartment.
So when the landlord in this case says we're going to evict you because you simply possessed a weapon inside your apartment, that's illegal and an unenforceable contract term, and they cannot evict her in Texas for that.
So she's been at least verbally placed on notice that it's, this eviction is likely because of what happened. I guess what would be the next steps if they move forward?
You can contract to do a lot of different things in Texas, especially. However, the gun ban issue is obviously not going to fly here. There's also some Fifth Court of Appeals cases of late, in fact, that say that self-defense from an unprovoked attack is not, under any circumstances, a breach of a lease.
Aaliyah Wallace worried about eviction.
I have to try to find somewhere else for me and my daughters to go.
Mark Melton, not so sure eviction will stand up.
This one, based on the facts that we know so far, which is not all of them, this looks like a pretty clear-cut case of an inability to evict on facts here.
So for Aaliyah Wallace, of course, who's lived there for 6 years, her great concern, an eviction would keep her from finding other housing for herself and her 4 daughters. We'll follow and see where it goes.
It is absolutely fucking absurd to at least me that you will have these hidden rules and try to enforce these hidden rules when people find out that something happened in your complex, yet you did nothing to address what these people had concerns about, which was constant break-ins. I'm not too certain how much money that a property manager could put in for some extra security, but I would think you would want to do something so that your residents don't have to constantly deal with something outside of their means. And the fact that she's facing eviction is absolutely fucking absurd because her cardinal sin was protecting her children. And yes, you could say, well, the rules of the complex are not to have guns, and I could probably agree with that. But when you have people coming to you and telling you, hey, we're going through break-ins, can you do something about it? And you're doing nothing, you're stonewalling, you're giving excuses, you're basically making these people fight for themselves, and then they eventually do. I personally believe she should not be punished for it whatsoever. I personally believe she should not be getting evicted whatsoever. But if there's any silver lining, and considering that this happened a couple days ago, we could call this a Christmas miracle, even though it's a few days after Christmas now. We can say that people heard about this, and then she made a GoFundMe to help out with any financial troubles that come with an eviction, and she has reached the goal of her GoFundMe. And quite frankly, I look at that and I say that is a wonderful way of having a Christmas story wrap up. You can say whatever you want about how could you possibly think it's okay to shoot somebody, and I will tell you once again, people value their shit more than they value any of your worthless lives that want to take it from them. And when you add children to the mix, you will absolutely face the consequence of getting shot at, because mamas don't play about their fucking children. But let me know, parents, in the comment section, would you be buying a gun to defend your children? Would you defend your children in any given scenario that warrants them being defended? Do you think facing eviction for self-defense is necessary? Or do you think, like everybody, landlords are fucking terrible? Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.